What is up and how's it going? Welcome back to episode 19. 19, Joey, of the Noble Steady Sort of Sports Talk. I'm your host, Tyler, with my main man, Joey. Joey, how's it going today?
Oh, it's going. It is slowly going.
It is. And I know we're coming at y'all about a day or two late here. I apologize. I've been under the weather, but I am back and ready for action again to bring you some entertaining sports news, mainly about the Saints and the Pelicans today. Joe, you doing all right, buddy?
Man, this weather's starting to kick my ass. It gets kind of cool, gets hot, gets cold, gets hot, messes with the sinuses, man. Like, I get it. So I'm ready to get this show on the road.
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting. We got a lot to talk about today, a lot to talk about. So let's just jump right into it. Joey, the Saints on a 2-game winning streak with the Riz Master, Darren Rizzi at the helm, beating the Cleveland Browns 35-14 this past Sunday. And let me say, man, it was the Taysom Hill game. My goodness, that guy was everywhere. 3 touchdowns on the ground. He completed a pass. He had 10 targets, Joey. It was really just the definition of a Taysom Hill game. And God bless whoever had him on their fantasy football team. I know you did. I know you did.
40 points.
40 burgers, man.
Bro,
40 burgers.
When I saw how good that game went, I was shocked because, in all honesty, the way my games have been going, I'm like, man, something's going to happen. They're going to lose. I'm going to lose. And, I mean, I beat the brakes off of my opponent with Taysom Hill starting at tight end, even though he's always tight end quarterback, which is kind of funny. Yeah, running back, wide receiver, blocker.
I mean, before we go on the game, we'll stay on the fact of fantasy football wise with Taysom Hill. Man, it is really just incredible the fact that you can get that kind of production out of a tight end spot, even though this year you do have more tight ends that are usable. I mean, people joke all the time that they're using 13 personnel starting 3 tight ends, especially this week in the bipocalypse that is week 12 week 12. It is quite crazy. Just the amount of people that are out on bye this week. But yeah, I mean, he could be a guy that wins you the league. If your team was just looking for that extra little oomph and scoring potential, it looks like him and Kamara are going to be the focal points of the Saints offense going forward. And I want to say some stat, it was like 69% of the touches went to either Taysom Hill or Alvin Kamara that game.
I can believe that. Another one that's kind of quietly on the radar that I started this week was supposed to get me 5 points, got me triple that, was Valdez-Scantling. So I think he's going to be somebody that the Saints are going to utilize more as not the number one in Olave's absence, but you're going to see a lot of deep routes to him.
He's the Shaheed now.
Yes.
He stepped in that Shaheed role. Yes. And I did like talk about MVS. He scored on a long 71-yard touchdown reception from Derek Carr. It was a really good play too. Just play design, because you had the defense flowing, but what I really liked about it, if you watch the replay, they're flowing to the left. There's a play action pass, fakes to the running back. Derek Carr rolls out to the left, and you see MVS dragging along with him and kind of trailing him. But there's also a defender out in front of him. So a smart, savvy veteran move was he sat. Basically, he stopped in the open part of the zone, and Derek Carr was able to stop his momentum, turn, and throw it to him. And listeners of this channel know I don't have a lot of good things to say about Derek Carr, but, it was a relatively clean game for him. And that's all I can ask for.
I think if he could give us those games more regularly, where it's consistency, it's a clean game, he would get us. He could get us to the playoffs if that was the Derek Carr that played. I'll give him all but maybe 4 weeks of the season. If you flip that record, honestly, it's flipping the record, but you're a score away from beating Philly. You're a score away from beating Atlanta.
Yeah.
You're a score away from beating the Panthers, which is the game that ultimately got DA fired. So, you're 2 scores away from beating the Chiefs. It's those kind of games where you need that game manager to stick it out and, have the time to pass the ball. That's something that he hasn't had all year. I think, I found that he was getting more time now than he was.
Well, we are getting healthier. I think we're missing only one offensive line starter now. But the problem is that And the biggest issue, it's not. I hate to say it, it's not even so much him. It's the status that contract brings with him. If that makes sense. When you're getting paid that kind of money, you really need to be able to elevate the people around you because you are cap strapped. And unfortunately, Carr, it's not a bad thing, but Carr's more along the lines of if everything's going great around him, he can make sure the boat doesn't capsize, if that makes sense. But he's not going to really elevate a team, which right now, look, it was good enough to win this week. I don't want to bash Derek Carr. I don't want to be that guy right now. He played well.
He won the game, damn it. So we're not going to talk bad about him. But when he loses, by God, we're going to be there to.
I will jump on that bandwagon, but I will give him his roses this week. I will give him his roses for sure.
He did a good job this week. 21 for 27, 248 yards, 2 touchdowns. When you're playing, when you have Taysom Hill playing the way he played, it's almost unstoppable.
And then you got to notice too that that the team. So I'm glad you brought up the numbers about like losing by a few points here, 1-score games kind of thing. In those games, especially like the Atlanta and the Carolina game, that really stick out to me. We found ways to lose those games. You know what I mean? It felt like this game. It was so relatively close moving forward. I mean, I want to say going into the fourth quarter, it was a relatively close game. It was like 14-14 at that point, I want to say. Yeah, it was 14-14 going into the fourth quarter. And then we just blew the doors off of them. But
yeah, the fourth quarter was like an awakening that happened with the team.
Good teams do, though. They find ways to win. And even if hung around. Okay, but we closed the door. We made sure we won that game going away. We didn't let them hang around to find a chance to win. Because, Jameis, especially with the way he plays, man, you let them hang around, anything can happen. I do want to shout out the Browns kicker, Dustin Hopkins. I appreciate the 2 missed field goals.
Former Saint.
And the missed extra point. Former Saint, yes. Paying it forward back. I want to ask you, do you remember the game? I want to say it was the last time the Browns were actually in the Dome. It was with Hugh Jackson was their coach.
When Zane Gonzalez missed 3 field goals, yes.
Oh, yeah.
That was the first year of, I want to say it was 2017 when we had Kamara and everybody. And that
I don't think
we struggled in the first game. I'm pretty sure it was. Because it just seemed like nothing was going right. You're looking it up?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing seemed to be going right at the beginning of the year, like first game. And then we play the Browns, who are coming off of that 0-16 season. And it's like, oh my God, what's happening? And then as soon as he missed that last one, it was like, oh, thank God we won that one. And then we went on a run.
You were close. It was 2018.
I remember it was like we stumbled out the blocks, and then out of the blue, it was just like, okay, now we're winning, and we were a playoff contender.
I knew you were close. I knew it was somewhere in that range. That's where he coached them, right?
Yeah.
I just wasn't 100% sure on the exact year. But yeah, I mean, that was a crazy game. So it kind of reminded me a lot of that. I'm like, wow, what is it with the Browns kickers in the Superdome, right?
I'm good with it.
Yeah, me and you both. But like I was saying before, it was Jameis Winston coming back. God, it's a lot of fun to watch Jameis play football. It is the definition of backyards slinging it. You know what I mean?
You know what he reminds me of? And it's not in the football realm. He reminds me of John Jones.
Okay.
I say that because when when they introduce the fighters in the UFC, typically they say he's a kickboxer, he's a jiu-jitsu player,
yeah, special
all that stuff. John Jones is a look-see-do fighter.
Yeah.
And it's legit spelled look, see, do. Like, that's he just kind of free he free flows it. He just goes off the cuff, like whatever happens. Like, I'm gonna make it work. That's Jameis to me. Like, he sits there, he looks up and he goes, somebody's down there, and he tries it. If the play breaks apart, then he's tossing it and he's sending it.
Yeah. Well, so speaking of Jameis, I do want to ask you on that first pass, the 89-yard touchdown pass to Jerry Jeudy. I do have to ask, is it just me or does it look like Jerry Judy's moving slow motion when he runs? That seemed like the slowest 89-yard touchdown where he's running away from people.
Yeah,
I've
and then
ever
it's like
seen.
I saw the play. I saw the very end of the play, and I was just like, "Oh, well, that happened." And I remember seeing that and going, I thought we had the ball because I didn't see the beginning of the play. I had
Yeah.
seen the very end of it, and I'm like, is he chasing our player down for the score? And I'm like, no, wait, our player's getting blocked. He has the ball. What's happening?
Yeah, it was weird. It was a weird play. It was also, I will say, speaking of weird, like it was just a weird game in general, feel wise. Because like, yeah, it was 14-14, but it never really felt like we were losing, or like in danger of losing.
It felt like we had it.
Yeah, right. Like it felt like there was a confidence there, and
I would almost say it's like when the Saints were good and they played a tough opponent. When they were like when we had the Drew Brees golden era, right? You'd play a tough opponent and it was back and forth. You almost had the sense of it doesn't matter. We have Drew Brees back there. He's going to handle business.
yeah, exactly.
That's what it kind of like. That's what it kind of felt like. And I'm not, by no means am I comparing Derek Carr to Drew Brees right now, but you just kind of had that feeling in your gut where it's like we'll be fine. And I almost wonder if it's because we've almost given up on the season. You know, like we're sitting there
I would
saying like
definitely say so.
we want the highest pick we can get. I'll be honest, we're 2 games out of first in the division.
You beat me to it. I was going to bring that up. I was going to bring that up for you. So, being
And
2 games back,
we've split with the Falcons, we've split with the Panthers. We lost to the Bucks early. We play them to end the season. If that's a decider, we could make the playoffs and win the division in the last week of the season.
it's going to take us some help.
It's not outside the realm of possibility.
No, but let's call it what it is, though. We are definitely the track is definitely through the wild card. I mean, not the wild card, the division.
The division.
Sorry, I literally just reversed the point I was trying to make. The wild card's kind of out of the question. There's too many good teams. You got the Packers, you got the Vikings, you got the Lions. I mean, well, pretty much Packers, Vikings are guaranteed. They're playing too good of football right now. So that leaves what, one playoff spot in the wild card, I believe.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So, and there's a lot of other teams ahead of us. So that's our way to the yeah. Then you got to throw in the Commanders too, right? Like they're looking like they're maybe a wild card team because the Eagles are on such a run. So it's 3 good teams with like 7 wins that we would have to jump. So if we threw a division, let me tell you, man, the
like this is what we have left. We should beat the Giants.
The Giants should be a win. The Raiders should be a win. I'm not sure about the other 3. The Rams are going to put up a lot of numbers. They are able to be passed on though, so that may be interesting.
That one's going to be like a tough in the sense of we're coming off a bye. We played down to our opponent a little bit.
But I'll say the Rams are a better team though.
I'll say this. I think we could beat the Rams. We could beat the Giants. And we could beat the Raiders. The Packers game, Monday Night Football in Green Bay is going to be tough.
Yeah.
I won't necessarily call it a Jaden Daniels homecoming, but the Jaden Daniels homecoming is going to be tough.
Well, it's a mobile quarterback.
Especially how hot that team is, and we struggle against rookie quarterbacks.
They've been slowing down a little bit, but they've also played some really good defenses lately. And it'll be interesting to see. I don't want to say that's a complete givey. See, to me, the Packers and the Packers game is going to be a tough game for us to win on the road in December in Green Bay.
This is the one that I have my.
So we'll see. I will say pretty much though, it's if we lose to the Rams though, we really need to consider. I don't want to say tank. But at that point you'll be 4-8. It's hard. You would have to win out at that point essentially, unless the entire division just goes to crap. I mean,
who does Atlanta have left?
I know they got to play the
Chargers, Vikings. They still got to play the Raiders. They still got to play the Giants, the Commanders, and then they close the season out with the Panthers.
So to me, that's 3 wins right there for them. And
so we both have 3 wins right there.
Yeah,
but we need to outwin them by 3.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the problem. It's going to be tough. We're not out of it yet. It's going to be a long road though. We lose 1-0, I feel like we're out. It's going to be one of those things. But so to you though, speaking of winning and all these things, I'm very impressed with Darren Rizzi's approach to the team last few weeks. There's always how do you say this? A interim bump when a coach gets fired. It's the weirdest thing, but it usually happens. There's like renewed life. To you, what would he have to do to retain the job? And it's hard because it's a two-part thing, right? Because that also tough. So do you mind if I take this first?
Go for it. Go for it.
So here's my issue, and I've said it multiple times on this channel. I've said it in all the videos leading up to, the few videos where he's been the head coach. I like what he's doing. I really, really do. The problem is, and the issue is will the organization still commit to pivoting this roster and its philosophy, right, with him at the helm? Or are they going to try to keep it status quo? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind him being the head coach at all. I think he can motivate guys. You keep Kubiak as the offensive coordinator. I mean, who knows what happens to defense? It's getting older, so there's going to have to be some moves that are made there. But it's just this philosophy of kicking the can down the road and not just biting the bullet now and creating all this dead cap and restructuring contracts has reared its ugly head this year. Like, the lack of depth showed. And if you keep down this road with the kick in the can, the reshuffling the contracts, the moving money around, you have to nail the draft. And I mean absolutely nail it for depth pieces, right? Because you can't go out and sign these guys that are solid depth pieces. And we haven't done that. So I think it's more of an organizational philosophy that needs to change. I've liked what I've seen from him, but if it means doing the same old, I don't know if he can be the coach. That's just my non-answer there.
I think the problem is going to be, they may already have decided that he's not going to be the coach next season. And
I don't think so.
If that's the case, then he's just trying to say, I just want to get us through the year. I want to keep the fans interested. I want to keep them excited for what we have to build off of for next season. I've seen a report that in March, Derek Carr is looking for his third team. I don't know. I don't know how true that is. I've seen it reported out there that he may be looking for another job next year. And if that's the case, then we know we're going for a quarterback. But I think we don't allow that to happen next year only because if you draft a quarterback this year, which I don't think they should do unless they can get a top quarterback, then you grind through this year with Derek. He has shown that he can manage a game. He has shown that he can do it. You have to build the line. You have to give him time. You cannot just expect him to be like, okay, you're a Pro Bowl quarterback. You can do it. He needs help. He needs wide receivers. He needs offensive line.
Don't disagree with you there, but it's hard when you're paying a mediocre, or I'm sorry, I don't want to say mediocre, an average NFL quarterback. I'll even say a slightly above average quarterback. When you're paying them $50 million, or they're cutting $50 million against your cap, it can't happen. You have to be better at that spot.
Unless you can restructure his deal to be like, look, we're going to give you less money, but you got to produce or something. Like they may be stuck. I hate to say it. That's just how it's going to be.
Well, here's the thing though, right? He's in his 30s. He's not getting better, right? He's not aging like a fine wine. He's not getting worse. He's not marketably worse.
He's staying the same.
Exactly.
Like, he is where he is developmentally. There's no improvement.
I guess my thing is, though, do we settle for average 9-8 peak seasons and pray we don't go 6-11 or 5-12?
If our rebuild can be 9-8, I'll take it.
No, it's
I'll be happy with a 9-8 rebuild if it can be good.
Well, that's not what. So what I mean by rebuild, I mean like over a period of time. Like, unless you get, because look at Detroit. Detroit, Dan Campbell, I think it took him 3 years, 4 years to really get this thing going. You have to get your own team in there. And unfortunately, the coach, GM, and quarterback, I really feel like have to all be married into one. Okay. I'm going to go on a little diatribe here. So give me a second. I'm gonna go with Caleb Williams. Perfect example. Look, I'll admit I didn't have him as my top quarterback coming out. Jaden Daniels, I am biased here, but I still had him as my number 2 quarterback. He went number 1 overall to the Bears. I mean, look, they surround him with wide receiver talent. They drive another top 10 wide receiver in the draft. The problem is, though, they had a lame duck head coach in Matt Eberflus that went on a little run at the end of the year to save his job. The issue is that guy now is coaching for his job. He knows he's coaching for his job. Instead of being like, okay, I have at least, unless it's just complete utter disaster, I have 2 to 3 years to build a foundation with this quarterback. Like, I'm going to give him every opportunity. I'm going to play to his strengths, but I'm coaching this quarterback to success. Not, oh, I got to do whatever I got to do to win this year, to placate the thing this year. You know what I mean? So you look back at their last 3 quarterbacks. When they drafted Mitch Trubisky, number 2 overall, they had John Fox fired after the first year with Mitch Trubisky, brought in Matt Nagy. Wasn't the quarterback, and brought a new GM. Weren't the people that drafted him. Stunts his development. Fast forward. You still have Matt Nagy there. They draft Justin Fields. They trade up to draft Justin Fields. Same thing. Matt Nagy gone after 1 year. They bring in Matt Eberflus, and now they're about to repeat the same thing. And where I'm going with this with the Saints is that if we are going to go with Darren Rizzi, we need to commit to Darren Rizzi. And I don't know if Mickey Loomis is the GM to have as a 3-headed, like, there's 3 pieces that are the 3 pillars that you need for an organization. I don't know if Mickey Loomis is there anymore. He was in the past. He's not there anymore. And just from the comments about Dennis Allen and basically the arrogance and defiance of how dare we question them, and basically saying that if it wasn't for the outside noise from the fans that they would have kept Dennis Allen. To me, that's ridiculous. And then the fact that your owner has to go behind your back to have meetings with the players, there is no reason that woman should be meeting with the players.
No.
Not at all.
Not in that way.
No, hell no. Not to be like, what's going on?
But it's not our, she can do whatever she wants with the team. Like that's her prerogative.
Organization.
But at the same time, yes, it should be Gail hired these people, or in all reality, Tom Benson hired these people. She trusted them with the keys to the kingdom, and told them, y'all are running the show. Then she shouldn't have to go in and be like, hey, what's really going on? Why is this a problem? What's going on?
Why do I have to go behind my GM's back?
Right. And honestly, if it's me, and, we've already said that Mickey is tied into whenever, the succession plan for the team and all that. I would tell Mickey, listen, you're still a part of that. But if you don't hire a coach that will get this team back to the promised land within a reasonable time, you're no longer the GM. You don't have a job with the Saints portion of the organization. The problem's going to be he's just going to get a promotion whenever that happens.
So I was just about to say, and it's going to sound shitty when I say it, but here's what it is. What's going to happen is that, or what I think should happen, because you can't get rid of him. He's too tied into the team.
Right.
You give him some BS position of president of business operations or CFO of the Saints or something like that. You give him some title.
It would be sporting director of, and whatever they call the ownership group per se.
Yeah, whatever.
Benson, if it's like Benson Holdings Group or whatever, you're the director. You're the sporting director of that deal.
Yeah.
So ultimately, you can sit there and be further back, still get paid, but you're not in the team. Like, you don't get final say. You're there for, like, oh, I need advice kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, one of the things like he can handle hiring the GM or something like that, but he just needs to take a advisory business or kind of role, step back. And look, my feelings have been made very known on this podcast about how I feel about Mickey Loomis. I think he's very arrogant. I'm not a huge fan of the way he kind of talks to the media and approaches the fans and talks to us like we're retarded or dumb. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. Excuse my phrasing.
He challenges our
intelligence.
Intelligence, yes.
Yes. I apologize for the phrasing there. But he really and Joey knows I'm not gonna, and don't worry, I'm not gonna do it. But that gum smacking interview has to be one of the biggest. And if I was Gail Benson, I'd be embarrassed. I'm like, you not only represent yourself, but you represent the New Orleans Saints organization, and you going up looking like an uncouth individual, not knowing the simple, basic manners of talking to somebody, is a bad look. And not only the fact that you cherry picked your own stats and statistics, which is hilarious.
Yeah. It's
like
don't you know I won the Super Bowl? It was like 15 years ago, Mickey. Like,
hey, look at all these great coaches that were really bad at first. Yeah, are we not going to mention that those were expansion franchises, not championship ready rosters handed over to you?
Yeah.
So
yeah, because honestly, that's what it was. We were, and tell me if I'm wrong. When Sean Payton left, the team that we had could have made a run.
We made the playoffs the year before.
But we could have made a decent run to where, maybe we draft a quarterback or, or Jameis stays healthy.
So
we make the playoffs.
That's another thing. We should have never started Andy Dalton for 10 games that year, if not, or like.
Was that when Jameis? What are you talking about when Jameis was healthy?
Yeah, 100% healthy. Yeah. That's my opinion. Where Dennis Allen is just he's one of those guys where it's like, well, yeah, you may be more talented, but you don't fit my system.
He's too worried about his system. He's not worried about, which I mean, systems. You have to have a correct system with the correct player. I'm not disagreeing with that.
No, but bro, me and you both know Andy Dalton is a good backup quarterback right now. He's not a starter anymore. He wasn't started back then. And then, and they wonder why Jameis, quote unquote, mutinied against them last year. And the fact that he went up there and was like, oh, I'm sorry, guys. I shouldn't have done it to the Falcons.
That bugged the daylights out of me.
It bugged the daylights out of everybody.
That annoyed the hell out of me. Like, I don't care. I don't care if you meant it. That's a damn rival. You mean it.
Like T-Bob said, James Hurst has said, you go up there and you say, F the Falcons. If you don't like it, stop us, kind of thing. And then when you go in the locker room, then you go, Jameis, what the hell was that? And then you tear him a new one. You do not lambaste your team after a victory against a division rival because you want to make nice with a coach that's getting fired 2 seconds later. He should have been fired after last season, and we should have been already through this process. But 2020 hindsight is always kind of bittersweet.
So
let's kind of wrap.
So let me ask you this: if it's not Rizzy, who do you think?
I've been hearing Aaron Glenn. I wouldn't hate the hire. I mean, it's just right now it's kind of hard with it so being so far out. I don't see a Belichick coming here. I would love to see a Vrabel. But the two that I've been hearing and their defensive kind of coaches have been Flores and Aaron Glenn.
My pick's already been taken out.
Yeah, I know. John Gruden's
going to Barstool. Yeah, which I'll be honest, great signing for Barstool. He's both feet in, wanting to do everything that they do, still doing his Gruden Grinders videos. Like, I can't wait to see what they do with him.
Oh yeah, for sure, dude. Like, it's gonna be it should be interesting. It should be entertaining overall. He should probably bring a good perspective, like football wise as well. You know what I mean? I know they got busted.
I mean, I watched. I think it was last week when they announced it. I saw some of the, they had, it was Big Cat, PMT or PFT, Jersey Jerry, and John Gruden all watched the game, and I mean, he was just like, He's feeding off him, telling him stories and shit, watching a game. It was good. It was a good watch for a little bit.
Dude, he's a great football mind. I'll give him that for sure. Like he knows his stuff. I mean, I always thoroughly enjoyed the QB camp they used to do on ESPN.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Like, I mean, look, dude, Spider was it Spider 2Y Banana?
They brought that up. They did the announcement video, I think was for John Gruden signing with Barstool. It involved that. He was like one of the football guys, I think it's Stephen Che was like teaching a thing. And then John Gruden comes in and goes, "No, let me tell you about Spider 2Y Banana." And he walks in to talk about it. And he had Che draw it up. He's like, "Oh man, you know this play." He's like, "It's my favorite play." It was good. It was fun to watch.
Yeah, no, it was such a good yeah, I mean, but like I said, I haven't seen that one yet, but watching the QB camps, man, it was so interesting to just hear him pick his like I know it's cherry pick clips and stuff, but to hear him pick the minds of the quarterbacks, like it always made me feel a little bit better, like going in and be like, because you know me, I like to be like, oh, I got this guy number 1, 2, 3, or 4. But watching those, I'd be like, oh, that guy doesn't sound very confident. Let me change my mind about this one, kind of thing.
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, it's pretty much what if you saw the Hard Knocks off season,
yeah,
that's pretty much what they do in the team. John Gruden
what
did
and who he is. Yeah,
he pretty much prepared the quarterbacks for team meetings when they were getting to know the teams and like what they're looking for and all that. So I miss it. I think I could see him working that out with Barstool to do that again.
I mean, I don't
but
see
it
why
just
not.
depends.
Look, if we can have presidential candidates on podcasts, we can easily restart the Gruden QB camp. Okay.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying. Wild times we live in. But let's wrap the Saints up a little bit. I want to talk some other Louisiana sports today. It's been a rough week. But just to kind of wrap this up a nice little bow, Taysom Hill absolutely went berserk this past week. Like, you usually get these 2 to 3 games a year, these Taysom Hill games, and that was definitely one of them. Probably one of the best ones he's ever had.
Hopefully it's not his last.
No. And there's actually some talk. Now, I'm just saying, it's crazy to think about that it's only him and Frank Gifford that have like 35 rushing touchdowns, 10 passing, and 10 receiving. Some along those line stats in NFL history. So at a certain point, we have to start realizing like we're really watching a something that's never been done before, or it hasn't been done this century. And the last time it was done, like for those who don't know, Frank Gifford played back in the 50s and 60s. And no, I'm not talking about Kathy Lee Gifford of the Today Show. Okay,
no, that's I think that's her husband.
It is her husband.
That was her husband. Yes,
it is. Yeah.
I'm not talking about Kathy Lee Gifford. You mean his wife?
Yeah, I'm not talking about his wife. Well, no, when you hear Gifford though, people think of her, right? Like they don't really think about Frank because Frank was way back in the day when he was relevant.
It's bad. I think more of Frank Gifford than I do Kathy Lee Gifford.
Well, we're also sports nerds, so you think.
Well, but when you think about it, like growing up, like I don't know
Monday Night Football, I guess.
But growing up for me, my mom had CBS News on, and after the morning news was on, it was Regis Philbin and Kathy Lee, and so I'd hear that name all the time, and I'm just like, oh, okay, whatever. But they did it was a movie that they did about Howard Cosell.
Yeah.
And I want to say ESPN did it. I can't remember who did it. I think it was on ABC.
Yeah.
And it was about Monday Night Football. And the Frank Gifford character, or the person playing Frank Gifford, came in, and I'm like, oh, okay. So he did football. And it's he was actually a really good player.
Good player.
so yeah, like that's just me.
Yeah, no, I mean, hey, everybody's got their own thing, man. But like I said, kind of throwing it out there. I mean, the tight ends look good for the Saints. We'll keep it going. We're on a bye week this week, and then we come back again, play against the Rams in Los Angeles at 3:05 kickoff. So let's just
wait. You said in Los Angeles?
Oh no, I'm sorry.
It's
it's at home. It's a home game. Sorry.
I think we have. Do we have 2 home games left?
I'll pull it up right now. But so let's pull this up real quick.
As I just had it.
I know. I love awesome awesome radio right here. Yeah,
three. We have 3 home games left. We have the Rams. Yeah. Then 2 weeks after that, we have the Commanders, and then 2 weeks after that, we have the Raiders.
Yep. All right. So we'll stick with football, and I know we didn't talk about this much beforehand, but I just want to touch on it lightly, and then we'll get to all the Louisiana sports. LSU. What the actual heck is going on right now? And about 20 minutes before this recording started, 30 minutes recording, we got another swift kick in the groin area from LSU that the number 1 recruit, Bryce Underwood, is decommitted from LSU and is now going to Michigan.
I did not see that.
Yeah, it literally just happened before we started recording. I got the alert. So yeah, he will now be going to Michigan. The rumor was that they offered him a fat $10.5 million NIL deal over 4 years. So that's where it's getting a little dicey with me with Kelly now, because now we're starting to lose players.
Hold on. I'm live. I'm live posting right now.
Live
fire Brian Kelly now. And now is in all caps.
So here's the thing. I know it's a bad year. It's a down year. But I don't want to discount Jaden's season last season, okay? I actually think that kind of bought him another year or two of like good grace kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But let's not act like we were national championship contenders during that season. Jaden was phenomenal. And that offense was unbelievable. And we still finished with 4 losses. How does that happen in the SEC? At LSU, where we want to compete for national championships. We feel like we're that tier where we should be competing every year. We're not at this point. I mean, where's the consistency? Like, we'll pop up every 4 years, 5 years, and be phenomenal and win a national championship, but there's no consistency there. It's not Bama. It's not Georgia. It's not Oregon now. It's not Ohio State levels of consistency. Those teams don't lose 4 games in a year. I know he beat Bama when Saban was there on a 2-point conversion. I do. Where's the rest of the resume, though? Where are we marketably better than we were beforehand? And honestly, you hold them side by side, Coach O's more successful. He won the national championship. Yeah, he had great players. Okay, let's run it down. Joe Burrow, Heisman Trophy winning quarterback. Oh, wait, didn't he have Jaden Daniels? I think those two are kind of Justin Jefferson. Oh, wait, didn't he have Malik Neighbors last year? Mm-hmm. Oh, wait, Brian. Wait, Jamar Chase. Wait, didn't he have Brian Thomas Jr.? Now, I'm not saying these guys are the exact same level-wise, but these are high-caliber players at these key positions and everything like that. And you have two tackles that should be highly drafted. I mean, pillars, probably 2 of the better ones in the country. Now, we can debate whether you think Will Campbell's a guard or not in the NFL, but it's insane. But the problem is they have the front 3 are weak. I mean, dude, watching Florida, simple A-gap blitzes. I mean, and for those who don't know, the splits right by the center, they're just running up on them. Literally, and we couldn't stop it. It could not stop it, and it drove me absolutely nuts that there was no in-game adjustment. And I know I've kind of gone on a diatribe here and kind of just really went on the rails, but it can't happen like this. And then for him to be yelling at players like he is on the sidelines, like, you can tell he's panicking.
Oh, he's 100% panicking. I mean, did you see the John Boy breakdown of that?
I did not. Somebody sent me the clip. I need to watch it. I have not, but I can only imagine. I know he says, like, what the F are you doing or something.
So
like
the thing that he was yelling at him about was...
It was the Hinton, too.
It was Hilton. Yeah.
Hilton or
But
Hinton.
It was... He would jump to make catches. And it was catches that all you got to do is go, and it's there in your hand. But he would jump, get all discombobulated, and then get taken down. Or he would drop the ball. Or he would jump way too early. And all that. But you're doing that, and then you're telling the player, who you think you are. Like, don't be uncoachable. Like, okay, hold on a second. It may not be that he's uncoachable. It could just be he don't want to listen to you. that should raise some red flags right there. The other thing that should raise some red flags, not to jump.
No, you're good.
I'm looking at the college football playoff ranking right now. There's one school from Louisiana in it, and it is not the one that it should be.
Nope.
There is the AP Top 25. LSU got 6 votes. ULL got 5. The coaches poll, LSU got 1. ULL got 5. This is not supposed to happen when you're LSU. When you have the history of success that you're supposed to have, you should not be getting outdone by ULL.
No.
And Tulane, for that matter, and the American Athletic.
Like you said, the amount of resources you have. You cannot, it cannot happen. And all I was going to say about Hilton real quick, and I'll let you go back to it. The dude's been injured most of the year.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, maybe he just doesn't have a feel for the game yet. And look, I don't know the interactions beforehand. It's just a bad, like, that they have day to day during practice and everything like that. It's just a bad look. That's all I'm saying. And then when you're that clear of you're not coachable and what the F are you doing? It's like, okay, that doesn't sound like it's building a player up. And I know there's different types of motivation techniques. I just worry that the messages are running stale.
I'm going to be honest. There's somebody out there that'll pay that buyout.
Oh, 100%. And the fact that
we need to find it.
People are talking about it now. It means that discussions have been had because this is year 3. Okay. Have not sniffed an SEC championship, have not sniffed anything of relevance. And you fired Coach O for losing 4 games. This is going to be, he's on course of doing that twice now. I'm just saying. I know. I should have fact checked beforehand.
I'm a fact check. I got you.
Yeah,
so he lost to USC, USC, Texas A&M, Alabama, Florida this year.
So that's 4 already. Yeah.
Last year he lost to Florida State, Ole Miss, and Alabama. He lost 3.
Okay. I mean,
and then the year before that, he lost to Florida State, Tennessee, Texas A&M, and then Georgia in the SEC championship game. I'll give him the SEC championship game loss.
I will give him that one.
But at the same time,
so that's a perfect example.
That just means that I'm trying to do the math here.
Hold on. Perfect example that you just gave me while you're doing that math here.
9 wins in 2022, which means 9 wins in 2023. I'm not counting bowl games.
Yeah, no.
And then this year,
1,
2, 3, 4, 6. We're 6-4.
Oh, right now, yeah. Hear me out.
You got to hope that you beat Vanderbilt because Vanderbilt's
actually got a pretty decent team this year.
They're pretty good. And then you have Oklahoma to close out the year,
who's had a kind of down year as well. But hear me out.
I mean, kind of down year. They're 1-5 in the conference, but
yeah. But you've just painted a picture, and so I was wrong. We did sniff an SEC championship game, but we got destroyed by Georgia in that game. So I was wrong his first year. But also, would you like to point out that you've perfectly helped me with my point here. We've gotten worse each and every year. There's a real possibility we lose 5 games this year. I mean, a real possibility. I mean, I'm not saying maybe this year, but this is something that could be coming down the pipeline, like in the offseason or something like that. I just don't. At the very least, the seat's getting a little hot, and I'm not talking about the humidity down here. And
that thing should be on fire. That thing shouldn't be just a little hot.
Well, it's just the expectations you set, right? And that's
he also said his words: "Do not judge me until year 3. Let me get my team in, and we'll go from there." Well, buddy, this is year 3, and this is by far your worst year.
Yeah,
you don't lose 3 straight. You do not use 3 straight in Baton Rouge.
Oh, or the fact that you're leading at halftime against Texas A&M, and then all of a sudden they bring in a running quarterback. You're like, oh my goodness, the quarterback can run. Let's win. And it's just like you've never seen it before. And to me, that's poor in-game adjustment. Like, we have the highest paid defensive coordinator. We have one of the highest paid head coaches in the nation. 4 losses is not going to cut it.
I'll be honest. When we played Nichols at the beginning of the year, that's when I really started. Like, I mean, yeah, we lost to USC. That's when
and USC's
hey,
maybe
we need to start looking another direction. When we let Nichols score 21 points, okay, let's start come up with an exit strategy on the Brian Kelly experiment, because you don't let Nichols score
of all teams
21 points. And listen, that running back, yes, he's really good. I get it. My father-in-law told me that ad nauseum, that, man, he really ran. I think he went to Curtis, and that's why he was telling me that. But, bro, you do not, as an SEC team, let a Southland Conference team that is currently 4-7 put 21 on you.
Yeah, no. 100% agree with you. 100% agree with you on that one. Like, you don't let teams hang around like that. You don't let teams just fucking sit there and get confidence like that.
And I'm just saying, when LSU took the lead and ran away with it was the third quarter. The score before their first touchdown in that quarter, it was 23-21 LSU.
Jeez.
In the third quarter. So what does that tell you about this team as a whole? I'm pretty sure this team is not good.
It's not that it's not good. It's just that there's no killer instinct, right? It's like, oh, our talent will kick in.
No. There is killer instinct. The problem is they don't know how to use it. You've got our number one receiver for debate scoring a touchdown and then doing the gun celebration in the end zone.
Which
then gets us a penalty.
Yeah.
So, which I think ended up affecting us. I think they almost ran it back for a touchdown. Yep. I think it was a USC game. They almost ran it back for a touchdown. You don't have that. That's the wrong killer mentality to have. It's you beat them on the field, you put your foot on their throat, and you don't lift.
No, so I get where you're coming from. I don't see. To me, that's not so much killer instinct. That's just more of a media thing. Like they see the music videos and stuff like that. You'll see the guys like flashing guns and stuff. I mean, that's all it is. It's dumb. It's absolutely dumb. Like, dude, you're a football player. You don't know nothing about holding a gun. You have probably been sheltered your entire life because they're like, oh, you can make it out. Like, dude, just get out. Anyway, I don't want to go too far into that.
Yeah.
Let's wrap this LSU thing up because I'm getting really pissed off, and I know we got one more thing to go through that's going to make me mad again. So I'd rather just get it over with, rip it off like a good old Band-Aid.
This has not been a good episode for us.
It's not. It really hasn't. It started off pretty well though. I think we did everything right until we got to the Saints. Until we
hold on. Let me bring out. We'll talk about what we're going to talk about. I'm just going to try to make you feel a little better. The Dallas Stars are third in the division.
Okay.
Hopefully that makes you feel better.
There you go. Yay!
We haven't fired our coach like Boston did.
Okay.
And in the last 4 games, Dallas has won 7-1, 7-2, 2-1, and 5-2. Their only loss coming to the Ducks at 4-2. So there's your positivity for the episode.
There we go. I need a little bit of it.
And Aaron Judge got a unanimous MVP.
I saw that.
So there you go. There's your
Shohei is got the NL MVP. I mean, no shocker there.
Positivity. Okay.
Let's
go back to the land of hatred and dread.
So to wrap up the this show of negativity today, at least the back half of it, let's talk about the Pelicans, the team that is just been snake bitten by injuries. I mean, I don't know if we just cursed a voodoo doll. We forgot to pay our insurance. Like, dude, I swear at this point we're like a G League team with all the injuries. Like you sent me a really good stat that I'm gonna cherry pick right now. Is that 90.25% of the Pelicans payroll is out against the
Warriors.
Cavaliers.
Yeah, they were out against the Cavs yesterday.
They're out against Cavs yesterday at the time of
Yes.
recording. Yeah,
Yes.
90%. 90. That is. So you tell me what? One player, two players weren't injured or on that. Like that. That's the whole thing. And I think this brings a serious discussion here. And like, I'm not going to go game by game. They're 4-12 right now. I think the discussion needs to be had about. And you know me, I've been a defender since he's been here. I think the discussion seriously needs to be had about whether or not Zion is the piece anymore. Because at a certain point, we have gone so far into roster construction with him that it's a detriment to the team. Just the way it's kind of built now. Because if he's not out there, we're screwed 100%. And the team shouldn't be so reliant on one player. And a player at that is limited in certain aspects as he is. And I don't know if he's built for today's NBA to be the focal point, right? And he can put up numbers by himself, but is the team going to be sustainable without him? Because unless you got great 3-point shooting, it's not going to really work. And I found a fun stat. The Pelicans, since they've drafted him, have played 490 something games, somewhere in that range, or 600 and so. It's 400 or something like that. But since they've drafted him, he's only played 190 games. 190 games. And 60 of those came in one season. Probably his best year with his. And that's where I think the hope keeps coming, is that you see this year where he's averaging 27, 5 assists, 5 rebounds. You're like, oh, wow.
Give me those numbers again.
He's played 190 games. And I think we played a total of like 490 or 4 something since we've drafted him.
Let's call it 490.
Let's call it 490.
He's played in 38% of the games that we have played.
Yeah. And you can't do that. And I'm talking about over years. So it's nothing bashing his talent or anything like that. It's more along the lines of
health. It's his health.
Well, yeah, it's availability, of course, but I'm calling into question his ability as the star, if that makes sense. And I know a lot of people aren't going to agree with this, but Anthony Davis, and he had his health issues too, but was a star with a skill set you can build around, right? Zion is the kind of guy where he has to have the ball in his hands. He can't shoot. So you got to hope that he's going to basically drive to the basket and dunk it or lay it up or something like that, or kick it out to a 3-point shooter. And it's really hard to have that type of roster construction if he's not out in the floor.
So let me ask you this.
Uh-huh.
Is it that, or is it something with our medical team? The reason I say that, there's a lot of soft tissue injuries in the Pelicans. Alvarado out with left hamstring strain. Zion, Trey Murphy, hamstring. Zion, hamstring. Brandon Ingram had ankle sprains. You have Misi was day-to-day with the shoulder. McCollum has an adductor issue. Like, I mean, that's a lot of soft tissue injuries.
I think that at least has to be looked into, because it's not a one-time thing. It's unfortunately, for whatever reason, it just seems like that with the Pelicans. Now, in all fairness to the Pelicans this year, a lot of NBA teams have been just destroyed by injuries. Because look, in fantasy basketball, it is a heck of a time trying to start a freaking lineup right now when everybody's hurt. So, it's just really, really insane to me that that we are just year after year after year are consistently injured. I mean, anything you want to add to it?
My thing is, if it's, they say if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, it's broken clearly. So let's do something about it. I don't know who their team doctor is. I don't know who, I'm sure they use Auctioner for their medical stuff only because of
sponsor.
Yeah. So, we should see. We'll see.
Yeah. Look, I don't want to do all negative here. I really don't. So let's end it with kind of like a positive note. How's that sound, Joey?
I know exactly where you're going with this.
Do you?
Yes. I know the only thing that could bring any kind of positivity to any kind of light to our darkness.
Go ahead, Joey. I want you to say it then.
Inside the NBA is not ending after this
Yes,
season.
sir.
Thank
That's what I'm talking about.
God. Now,
Yes.
I will say, so just for the uninformed, TNT and ESPN have brokered a deal that Inside the NBA will be shown on ABC and ESPN when this year's deal is up.
Yes.
They're still going to work for Turner.
Yep. And I saw
but it's going to be simulcast to ABC and ESPN. So technically, Charles Barkley is not an ESPN employee, but it makes it really awkward that 8 years ago he said ESPN ain't going to work me like a dog and put me on ESPN2 and ESPN News and ESPN Deportes and all that. It makes it really funny. Like I think the day they announced it on TNT, they played that clip to be like, because they're showing all kind of old clips.
Yeah.
For like, it was like a memorial thing, like, oh, this show's about to end, and then it's like, hey, that's really funny that we're going to do that. Let's do this clip. I did see somewhere that I think they confirmed that they're going to keep Stephen A. Smith away from this show, and they need to do that. Keep him away from Inside the NBA. That one time that they did that simulcast where they were both on each other's programs was really funny.
Yeah, but
that's it. Like, don't change that. Like, leave that alone.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Exactly.
That's like when they tried to put Stephen A. Smith on a UFC broadcast. That was really stupid of ESPN to do. Leave it alone.
And I think they will. But I think on that note, I mean, talk about Charles Barkley and a funny anecdote like that about him calling out ESPN, yet he's going to be a Warner Brothers employee that's licensed by ESPN. I feel like is a great way to end this show. So
it does make me laugh, though, because he thought he was going to retire. Now it's like, no, you're going to be working for a couple more years, buddy.
And let's call it what it is. Charles needs to work.
Charles is too good to
not work. He's a national treasure.
Yeah.
So with that, we're going to wrap this episode up, ladies and gentlemen. We thank you again for episode 19 of the Noble City Sort of Sports Talk. Stay tuned. In the next few days, we're going to have something special coming up with y'all with our good friend and new co-host, Shane O'Mac. So we'll see you next time.
And we're going to be on Spotify. Spotify is coming.
Spotify is coming. Well, a lot of exciting things coming to the channel. I am Tyler, your host. That's Broseph. Take it easy, and we'll see you next time. Later.